Hello and welcome all. Welcome back to one of the most important sessions of two-day APAC Virtual Manufacturing Conclave. This session will focus on the CXOs from the oil, gas, steel companies. Basically, the name of the session is Take Catalyst for India's Core Infrastructure Builders. But before we start the session, let me give an overview of what has been done throughout the day today. We had inaugural session in the morning in which we saw the presence of MD and CEO of Guidance Tamil Nadu, an agency under the Industries Department Government of Tamil Nadu, which promotes investment and nodal agency for investment in the state. There we also saw the presence of Mr. Vineet Kumar, who is the MD of UP Desco. He talked about how what are the policies, manufacturing policies, which is giving boost in the state of UP. Then it was followed by two panel discussions. One was making FMCG more profitable and efficient through technology, and one more panel discussion on digital disruptions in manufacturing sector, which focus on smart factories, digital manufacturing, lean manufacturing, and artificial intelligence. And also we had two presentations from Preston, Siemens, and Morphisec. And now we have come to a very important part of this manufacturing ecosystem, that is core infrastructure. And for that, we have eminent speakers with us for this session. Let me welcome Sri Shubhrata Banerjee, VP IT Vedanta. We welcome Mr. Shubhrata. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
We are joined by Mr. Manoranjan Kumar, Chief Information Officer, Shree Siemens Limited. We welcome Mr. Manoranjan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
We are joined by Mr. Himanshu Sharma, Head of Information Security, Bharat Dalmia Group. We welcome Mr. Himanshu. Thank you so much for joining us. We are joined by Mr. Prakash Mani Tripathi, General Manager IT, Sham Steels Industries
Thank
Limited.
you.
We welcome Mr. We're also joined by Mr. Ajay Panwar, Senior General Manager IT, Heidelberg Cement India Limited. We welcome Mr. Ajay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Hi,
we're also
everyone.
joined by Mr. Chandan Kumar Barman, Deputy General Manager IT, Oil India Limited. We welcome Mr. Chandan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you, Savik. And good afternoon to all.
I welcome all of you again in this session. So, without taking much time, let me first ask the question to Mr. Shubhrata Banerjee, VP IT Vedanta. Mr. Shubhrata, what are the digital innovations deployed today by core sector companies in the oil and gas, steel, or similar industries? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I just represent oil and gas is one of our sector, and I currently representing aluminium power and ports.
Right.
So I think if I just start that, the thing is that before any digitalization, a digitalization works when there is a single version of truth. So we must not venture into something before putting the infrastructure correctly. So if I just give brief introduction, how we set right the stuff is that first field devices used to be there, which is nothing but your plant. We have three kind of manufacturing setup where we work in the plant, where you have a discrete manufacturing, you have a continuous manufacturing, as well as repetitive manufacturing. So these three manufacturing, we have an historian, which where the entire data gets logged into every tags are getting logged, every microsecond, millisecond, stuff like that. And on top of it, we created an MES layer, manufacturing execution system, which have complete your production system, quality system, and all other stuff what you require to orchestrate the entire manufacturing. That is there. On top of it, we have S4 HANA, which is for my entire enterprise-wide like enabling function, as well as my core plant functions also work there. So any breakdown happens or anything happen, IoT, like say my devices are connected on with IoT sensor. So any breakdown happens with the tag, calculated tag, it goes and create auto notification. So breakdown notifications earlier used to be in SAP, when we used to legacy SAP used to, the plant used to process guy used to inform maintenance, and then the maintenance crew used to come and do, but that used to be very delay. Today what is happening is that automatically system logs time, starts click, that means the plant is stopped, and everyone get informed. Immediately action start taking place. Moment it comes up, immediately every process guy is informed that the process is on now. And this PTW and all, like everywhere when you know plant, it is manufacturing plant and stuff like that. There are huge motors, a huge instruments which normally work. So the permit to work, like I need to take a proper isolations before anyone works. Otherwise, there will be a lot of safety kind of issues. So for that also we worked digital PTW, where people, a management manager is forced to come down to the site where with the geofencing, that he have to come to the site to give a clearances for this maintenance crew. So that means earlier days, you what to happen, he used to sit in his chamber and sign from there, and he don't know what is at the site. So today, people are forced to go to the ground and make sure that he taking all decision from there. These are the basic system is been in place. Then beyond that, what we started now is doing closed loop APC, which is like, as you know, we used to see that every shift, like in A shift, it's a good your productivity. B shift little down, and C shift is more down. It is a normal phenomenon used to happen. So then we find that boss, the people shift supervisor or shift operators are going to be checker. Like anything goes wrong, where automation fails, they are going to come into picture. Otherwise, the APC is going to take actions based on the rule set what they those people experts are giving us, and the best shift supervisor superintendent what he has fed into the system. So that APC and APM for asset optimizations and entire asset reliability is paying a big way. So these are the two segments other than your CRM portion and your for Ariba, which is your manufacturing. Those are the kind of digitalization which is taking place, my dear. Other than, as you know, that cameras are huge. Like there are 2,000, 3,000 odd camera if every plant is having. So putting some analytics into it so that safety related violations or anyone doing any speed related violations, stuff like that is automatically get recorded. So cause notice been sent and all stuff like that. That is also getting done. So this is, if you ask me, that is a simple answer. Like the subject is very big, but I answered that much. So if you have any question, I'm ready to take my idea.
I'll come back to Mr. Subroto. Good to hear about your insights on this particular thing, that how digital innovations are actually taking place in this core sector manufacturing companies. I'll come back to you. Let's have a perspective from Mr. Manoranjan Kumar, Chief Information Officer, Sri Siemens Limited. Mr. Manoranjan, how are the core sector companies placed in the industry for the 4.0 roadmap? Your thoughts on that?
In fact, if you see that the Industry 4.0 or earlier version, it was the Industry 2.0 that was also there. In cement industry, these kind of things are not been adopted as of now because these are the product what we produce are already going through a lot of manufacturing automation. So now in our organization, we are in the roadmap. We have built up a roadmap to implement digital twin or 4.0 integrated ERP. So as of now, what I can say is that we don't have anything on this and we have not yet started work, but yes, on the roadmap it is there. At other cement companies, I'm not aware of whether these, because we have other, my colleagues are there. They're also from the cement company. But as of now, in our organization, we have not yet planned for this.
Any future plan of adapting to this new
Yeah,
deployment in terms of
this
Industry 4.0?
yeah, we have some roadmap on this that we will be going for it, for which we have already initiated the first step, that we are planning. We have already started working towards the plant information system, so that the entire plant, all plants and grinding units will be integrated, all the equipments will be integrated. So manufacturing data, the plant data from PLC, SCADA, everything will be coming on our dashboard, and uh, the capacity planning, the future maintenance things will be predictive analytics. Those kind of things will be coming through this dashboard. So that is being planned and under implementation. Still, we have recently we have started this. Let's see what kind of results are coming on that.
Right, right. I'll come back to you, Mr. Manoranjan. Plant information system, and a lot of plans are there for the deployment of IT in the ecosystem in Sri Cements. Let's have a perspective from Mr. Himanshu Sharma, Head of Information Security, Bharat Dalmia Group. Uh, Mr. Himanshu, we are hearing a lot of things about the new technologies like industrial IoT, robotic, process automation, blockchain. Do you think that this kind of emerging technologies are becoming mainstream now in terms of IT deployment in the manufacturing setup?
I think Shovik, I'll be honest, like becoming mainstream or not becoming mainstream, it is definitely going to be inevitable to not talk about this or not adopt them. Reason is today we are talking about it, and the fellow esteemed, colleagues from various industries and my own industry. Today we are talking about it. It is actually the first step or the second step towards talking about being mainstream or not mainstream. But like Manoranjan ji mentioned, yes, certain set of industries would be pioneers in adopting the industry 4.0, specifically from physical to digital, or Manoranjan ji mentioned about digital twin, or maybe plant information system. Those kind of perspectives, I think today or tomorrow we definitely have to talk about it, because that is going to be the next wave. I actually want to bring another perspective to it. Let us take a step back and go to the March 2020, where the entire world went into lockdown. And when we talk about our kind of industry, the physical presence is utmost important. Uh, in terms of something getting broken down or something needs to be fixed up, you have to be physically there. But those were the times where we also underwent that kind of change, that yes, we would require to open up certain ports, we would require to take up certain help from our colleagues or technical staff who are not physically present there. So inevitable, definitely we have to talk about it, we have to adopt it, if not today, tomorrow. Some industry would definitely have to talk about it. We have so I myself am a security practitioner, so I will be more focused on the security aspect of it. So colonial pipeline disturbance, or any of the countries, let's not name organizations, but any of these specific industries getting targeted from the cyber attack perspective. So more the technology adoption, more the mainstream attention it will get. So, Shavik, long story short, a smaller answer, yes, it will become mainstream. The level of becoming mainstream or level of adoption will differ from industry to industry, units to units, but definitely inevitable.
Since you come from the security perspective, I'm resting myself to ask you a question related to security aspect. That is, what are the different industry level security technologies being deployed by this industry? So, if you can shed some light on your company's perspective on that, and then I move to the next speaker.
So I think again I'll go back to the basics. So here we are talking about the physical to go digital. It's like a convergence of digital, physical, those two perspectives. Uh, we'll not call them the technologies or specific controls, but I think the basics of the cybersecurity or the information security or OT security would remain the same. Know your threat surface. I think that is one of the basic hygiene factors which essentially is lacking, and that's the sad truth which we have to live with, and we have to address those things. I'll not talk about any of the emerging technologies per se, that we would do blockchain, or we would have artificial intelligence. But I think keeping the basics intact, know your assets, know your threat surface, and then slowly and continuously putting certain controls in terms of your vulnerabilities. Like I think sir in the initial section mentioned about SAP components and the plant systems talking to SAP components and so on and so forth. That convergence is happening. So what level of accesses have been given to internal and external users? That is something which we need to take into consideration. Also, a lot of smart devices are coming into picture. So whether those smart devices are secure in themselves, we are in IT domain. We are talking about hardening and everything. Are those smart devices which we are putting on the core OT or the industrial control system? Are they hardened enough? Have we kind of blocked any kind of external communication which they are designed to? You must have heard about a lot of, especially in the telecom sector, you must have heard about government putting a lot of effort in localization, specifically when the core telecom equipment are designed outside the country. So there's always a inherent risk there. So from that perspective, I think those are the basics. Know your threat surface, is going to be my word on this particular question, Shobik.
Right, right, Himanshu. So if I take a crux of what you have said, one is that whether we are using this emerging technologies or not, but we have to use it. That is inevitable. No one can stop it. And also in terms of security perspective, we talked about that the uh, smart devices, whether those smart devices are secure enough, whether we are understanding the threat perception, and accordingly we are taking some steps or not. I'll come back to you, Himanshu. Let's have a perspective from Prakash Mani Tripathi, General Manager IT, Sham Steel Industries Limited. Mr. Prakash, your
Yeah,
thoughts on the different industry level security technologies being deployed by the industries. If you can shed some light on that and your thoughts on that.
yeah. So thanks to give me the opportunity. And first, I start with the Himansuji comments that security always start from the basics. What happened in the industry nowadays? Few things going on because I'm hardcore consultant guy, solution guy. So industry moving on. People are saying digital transformation, IoT, blockchain, lot of things going on, but everything has some process which is going to compromise in level of securities. Now, in our organization point of view, I give very basic examples. When I joined these organizations, I found that multiple application is running in organizations. HO level, plant levels, people are accessing the application in the different manners. Okay, so it's very tough to control all the things. So you need a complete tools, or maybe you have to design that automation or transformation on the identity and access management. That is the beauty of control entire security. First we have to control the user level security, then you move on a device level security, depend on the things. So we will build a in-house tool for the complete identity and access management, complete AI based tool. And this tool is very much good for the audit point of view. It means if an employee join your organization, their entire identity is going to flow in the systems. And when they off the organization, automatically the all the checkpoint is going to closed. Normally what happened there, multiple layer of approval required. Someone need this approval, someone need that approval from the application level, device levels, access levels. So for the security point of view, we have to think from one level of identity, that is identity access management, from the hardware till applications level. So that type of security in the transformation we have implemented in our organization, because what happened, we are using S4 HANA. So if you go for SAP security, you have to secure your SAP application, HANA application. So you have the, either you go with the SAP and say, you please implement the GRC. So we are also using Office 365. Another system is required. Someone using Salesforce or some CRM application, another security is required. So how much? Because you have also think about the costing. Cost is also a big factor to implement the securities. That's the reason in my organization, we have implemented the identity access management. It's in-house tool we built in, and that's going to control security, control all the security checkpoints in our organization from the transformation level. And very soon we are going to integrate with the SAP also. Another very important point for this tool, that identity access, every organization is going to ITGC audit. The audit is going on, some external auditors comes and they directly ask, and first question they ask about the securities. They ask about the roles. Give me the authorization on the SAP, SOD conflict in the system level, administration level, SAP level, every level. So that tool is automatically give entire information to the auditors. Just you have to compare, like you are giving the rights on a SAP. Just compare with, pull the report here and compare both the sheet. You will find what are the things happening. You will pull the report from Office 365, and from here you will get entire activity in the application level in the organization you will get. So that level of security you have implemented in our organization. Apart from that, from digital transformation point of view, last year we have implemented the SFT CRM, complete automation in the CRM application. That is one of the best CRM applications, which is also recognized by the Indian Merchant Chamber of Commerce, Mumbai. So they're all transformation. We have to use lot of AI in a building materials. What happening? I give example. Google is providing some API, some algorithms. So what happened? You just take the picture from the construction site, process that image, you will get how much construction is going to happen. Based on that construction, you will get the number of how much iron is still required, how much cement is going to require. That much information you get in the back end. Accordingly, your sales team is going to push and start selling the product. So, in my point of view, I always believe transformation, security, it's depend in three layers. First, that transformation is going to help, or security is going to help your business processes. Second one, your sales supply chain. And third one, very important, that is the cash flow. Because if you are using the high-end AI or data analytics, you are getting how much cash flow is required to run your business. You cannot give unnecessary, because what happening? If the big company, so they have the huge cash, they will run, but the small organization, they need the very control manner cash credit crunch. So they have to control with the AI. इस डीलर को, इस डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को आप इतना ही मार्जिन दो. So you are getting the AI, lot of AI. You understand your complete customer feedbacks. So a lot of transformation we are doing in our organization, and still we are planning to do some from the plant side. So that on the roadmap. So maybe if get an opportunity, we'll implement very soon.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
I'll come back to Mr. Prakash. Thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
thoughts with us on your thoughts on the industry level security technologies. You talked about identity and access management, AI based solution which you have created in house, and how it is helping your organization. But at the same time, you also talked about the we have to remember the importance of cost effectiveness,
Correct.
because that will be very important when it comes to not only security IT deployment but overall IT deployment as well. I'll come back to you, Mr. Prakash. Let's have a perspective from Mr. Ajay Panwar, Senior General Manager IT from Heidelberg Cement India Limited. Mr. Ajay, if I may ask you that, how are the core sector companies leveraging analytics to enhance productivity and operational efficiency? Your thoughts on that? If you can unmute your mic, please.
Yeah, thank you, Souvik, and thanks to all fellow speakers for summarizing their views and opinions in a very, very precise and I would say crisp manner. Yes, if you talk about the analytics part, how we are leveraging it, I think whatever the silos all the speakers have addressed, either it is related to the manufacturing, either it is related to the security, either it is related to the CRM. I think by end of the day analytics is come to an end, because management requires a clear picture what is the basis of my future step. So I think no matter what tool any organization is using, it all depends that whatever technology are we using, whatever tools we have implemented, how it is going to help in my production, how it is going to help in my sales, and how it is going to help in my customer retention. So analytics is going to be a very, very important, I would say, tool, no matter it is a senior management, middle management, or a junior management. So yes, if you talk from the Heidelberg Cement perspective, there are a lot of things happening at the group level as well as the country level. So we have implemented RPA automation, we have implemented Tableau, we are implementing SAP HANA, we are implementing UX, we are implementing n number of applications which Prakash has also mentioned. But yes, by end of the day, whatever the data is coming on to the end user, what picture it is reflecting on the ground, that matters. So that's basically my opinion in terms of the analytics. And yes, as an organization we are working very closely with business stakeholders to ensure that whatever the data is being punched is giving the right decision making analytics.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay. I'll come back to you. So you have raised a very important point that there has to be tools which can give correct information about the production, sales, and customer retention, and all those things. Analytics is going to play a very important part, and it is already started playing an important part. And in future also, we don't see anyone will stop that process. I'll come back to you, Mr. Ajay. Let's have a perspective from Mr. Chandan Kumar Burman, Deputy General Manager, IT, Oil India Limited, perhaps the only public sector organization who is part of this panel, who will be sharing his thoughts with us. Mr. Chandan, my question to you will be that how can digitization actually help in more effective asset utilization for core sector companies like yours?
Yeah, thank you, Sovik, and good afternoon to all the fellow panelists. Like I representing an oil company, and for the sake of the viewers, let me just briefly uh, enlighten about the state of the oil industries as such. Because the moment we say oil and gas industry, there are primarily three verticals. One is the upstream industries, the companies who expose oil and gas, like ours, Oil India Limited. Then there are midstream companies who transport those crude to the downstream refineries and all. And of course, finally, the downstream industries, the refineries and all. So of course, each set of companies have their own challenges, own environment, and from process wise, environment wise, activity wise, they're not that similar. They're different. And with regard to my verticals, that is upstream oil and gas company, it has its own set of challenges. It's a very capital intensive industry, high risk industry. So of course, the challenges are different in nature. So as Sovik has asked, how digitization can help in our asset effective asset utilization? Yes, it can help a, a, a great deal. Before that, let me tell you the kind of support and the kind of guidelines we are getting from the ministry, from the central government is very commendable. And based on their patronage, based on their support, the company has embarked upon a very ambitious project uh, about 2 years back, which internally we call DRIVE, that is digital innovation in, sorry, digital readiness for innovation and value in ENP. ENP stands for exploration production. And we have undertaken about 11 very ambitious projects on that, and few of them have already gone live. So one of them is drone surveillance. Like primarily we work on the far northeast region of the country, and there will be well sites from where we get oil, and those are transported to our oil collection station, nearby satellite stations. So the monitoring those pipelines, those arterial pipelines, was a big challenge for us. Now, post this digitization projects, that sub project, that is drone surveillance, that got gone live about 6-7 months back. Immediately we got results about them 2-3 months back. We could detect sabotage activities, and immediately it yielded result to the company. Apart from that, that specific project is going to also give us different insight, like the kind of pilferage that might be happening, some tapping that miscreants might be doing, or maybe erosion, kind of soil erosion kind of thing, which might hamper our assets in the long run. So those things we can proactively monitor, and based on the images, based on the data feedback, the backend stations at the ground, they can correlate the things, and based on analytics they can give us very precise view, or very subject the logical view, what we should be doing to protect those kind of assets. The another very critical aspect for a upstream oil and gas company is the reservoir, which resides subsurface basically, and that is the bread and butter of the company. Everything audit and everything happens on that reservoir, the kind of reservoir the company possesses, or how much reservoir accretion had happened in a particular fiscal like that. So reservoir is the what would I say, the main asset of a upstream oil and gas company. Now what happened is that, based on the reservoir, the scientists, they try to analyze the reservoir, because something which is subsurface you cannot see, physically see and fathom. So they do a lot of simulation, numerical simulations, and all those stuff. Based on that, they define a model. That model is of course scrutinized by technicians, by government, and all other bodies. And based on that reservoir, your, in fact, your capital asset is also assessed. And apart from the financials, based on that reservoir model, the your field development program in the field, how many wells you'll be drilling, what kind of production you should be getting, and of course for the producing wells, how that should be optimized. All these things are given by those reservoir engineer. So typically, conventionally, they were doing mostly on manual basis based on the field data and all. Now AI has come in a big way to aid those reservoir scientists to refine that model with the help of big data and analytics, so that they can run all this, they can refine these models, the supervised models based on the analytical algorithms. They can refine these models, and they can give us eventually better inputs. This project is the tendering process is going on, and we hope that in next maybe within a year this project will go live. And of course while getting the actual results, it will take some time, but we definitely hope that in oil and gas industry, this kind of reservoir modeling based on AI and analytics and big data, they have given results to other companies, and also we also definitely hope that it will give results to us. The another aspects that we are currently implementing another project based on this drive project is that the condition monitoring of the machines and machineries and the like engines and all stuff like that. Of course, this is a common thing. I think my fellow industry members would also appreciate. The sensors are kept in the engines, those mechanical devices, and based on their predictive data, the backend systems tell us in advance how this should be maintained and all. So we have taken up a very ambitious project on that, because in oil and gas industry there are a hell lot of pumps, engines, and stuff like that spread over all across areas. Unlike in a process plant or company like that where you are very much confined in a location, we are unlike that. We need to go to all far-flung areas, villages, forests, and areas like that. We have small stations we call gas collecting station or oil collecting station. There are engines, pumps which are run by the crude generated out there itself. So I'm happy to share that some of the very old machines, maybe from British era also, they are still running due to the proper maintenance being done by our company people. And of course, leaving aside those machines, the newer machines that are coming up, I think with this conditional monitoring, the management believe that they would give us results in near future, and we would be able to maintain those machines, those engines in a very proper maintainable state, and eventually it will reduce our NPT to great extent. Yeah, over to you, Sovi.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chandan, for sharing a lot of initiatives being done by Oil India Limited. And I was going through a note in which I see that Oil India also possesses state-of-the-art virtual reality center called Kalplo for carrying out analysis and interpretation of geo, scientific, and engineering data and models, generating synoptic views of data from multiple sources and supporting well planning in collaborative 3D immersive environment. So that's also interesting. Oil India is using that kind of technology uh, to change the game, I might say. Let's come back to Mr. Shubhata Banerjee. For last 45 minutes or so, we are trying to get uh, various aspects of tech enablement in this core infrastructure sector. Let's have a common question for all the panelists now. We are going through a pandemic, and as Himanshu was mentioning that in last 2 years we have seen how things have changed drastically, right? And also in next 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, maybe so, this kind of environment might be there where we can see that some of the workforce working from home, some of the workforce coming to the plant and working. But I think the biggest lesson which we have learned in last 2 years, that building a resilient ecosystem. I think we all will agree with that. And when we talk about building a resilient IT infrastructure for a company, where do you see companies going 5 years down the line? Shubroto Banerjee, your thoughts on that?
So there are a lot of changes taking place, Ovik. As you rightly said, in last 2 years, IT and digitalization got huge push. Like it is earlier, even desktop video and whatever the way we are meeting and talking, this definitely you are asked for physical meeting, and there has to be somebody who will sit in stage and do the stuff. But we are using this particular studio, and we are all quite seeing each other. We introduce to each other, and we are know each other now. So same way, like when you see Team, Zoom, and everything, WebEx and all, I will not name those particular brand. So everything's got popular, and today everyone is using it, and it is secure enough. It is really giving value to that. Further to that, as security, our like I'm forgetting Himanshu had stressed upon, very correct. Like this, when you are mobile and you are giving, like people are doing work from home as well as few people are coming in plant. So first thing is that how you secure them. So two-factor authentications, privilege management, like the people whom you are giving more authority, how they may be misusing or something. So you need to monitor, and then those checks and balances, how it is getting projected and how you review, what kind of actions you take. Like one is review, like what at this juncture, for every digital person, I'm pretty sure there's a review mechanism is a big stuff which needs to happen regularly. Otherwise, you'll miss the bus, and some one particular damage will completely the brand value and everything is going to get eroded. So there are many tools and technology which are getting used in the security stuff. We'll not talk about it, but you don't only you do that. You also give some big four, one of the big four, to do that, because I am getting value out of one of the big four. I'll not name them because other it will be advertisement, but I'm using them. So many a time I get enlightened what they do analysis, and then they come out and then they say that these are the vulnerabilities further to this, and this is the gentleman who's doing this. So my internal tool, VA tool, gives me some result, but they when they do SIEM and all tools, what they use and they throws the result, it's also give a different perspective. So I'll request every one of you, like when you in this pandemic situation is a tough job. You people are wearing, all of us is wearing very all into a hat, which is a security officer and managing the entire infrastructure. So be careful. Make sure that your assets are protected and your everything information is protected. Thanks, Obi.
Right. Manoranjan Kumar, your thoughts on that? Building a robust, resilient IT infrastructure for future.
Rightly, Subrotoda has said the same. A lot of things on that. That yes, during this pandemic, people have learned going on digital way, because in our kind of industry and environment where the conventional people are, the very old people are there, a lot of people who are working since last many years, and they are still using secretarial department, or maybe their PA are coming into the office and then they are taking the note before typing the email. So they are not responding their own email. They are not reading their own email. They are reading the mail on printed. In this environment, they have learned like why and how to do these kind of, how to use these kind of digital technology for their day-to-day work. So the people who are not coming on video conferencing and on online video conferencing, now they are using these kind of tools. So pandemic has taught them a lesson, like yes, there are tools and technologies are available which is going to really ease your business and you ease your communication. In this role, yes, the infrastructure works really very play a very vast role in that. So we have to be ready on a futuristic view. We have to put that our futuristic view in such kind of, while we are deploying the infrastructure. It has forced us to plan better way, so that you never know these kind of things when this is going to end, or how long it will take. I don't think it is going to uh, end soon. So the people have started utilizing the technologies on their personal way also, at home also, and in the office also. We have deployed lot many things in that. Like we have, before pandemic, we that was not declared, that we were not going for such a situation where people have to work from home. But because of some other reason, we have deployed uh, VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure, which was really useful when the lockdown has happened, because the data people were having their own desktop. Now the data is available on their mobile, data is available on their own device, so that they can work from home. We had removed all those biometrics before the pandemic, thinking that we'll go into the better technology, we'll adopt better technology, and we removed them, replaced them by using video analytics, and that has helped now. So these kind of futuristic vision uh, will come. These kind of futuristic vision we have to see in the environment, and we have to bring these kind of innovative ideas, not only for today, but tomorrow it may be adopted, tomorrow it may be useful. So that kind of thing we are for here, get that things done. This is what my view on that.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Manoranjan. Let's have perspective from Ajay. Ajay, your thoughts on that? Ajay, can you hear us? If you can unmute your mic,
I would
please.
say that no matter which industry it is, but the yes, scenarios and challenges are moreover similar. So yes, resilience, robustness, cloud, and every technology has helped. That's one portion of it. But my takeaway or my learning from this 2 years pandemic, which Mr. Manoranjan shared, my takeaway is that keep the technology simple, because our end user in cement sector specifically are not tech savvy. So yes, you are right, Mr. Manoranjan, that when this lockdown was announced, every organization has a pressure to ensure that every user have the technology to ensure they keep going on their business. And that was I would say transition phase from the user mindset as well. So yes, keep it simple, and user awareness and education is going to be one of the important area which I feel that is going to be playing a very important role in to make the technology environment successful. Deploying is one part, but yes, adoption is also equally important. So that's my lesson learned from this pandemic period.
Right, right. I think we have all learned lessons in last 2 years, and that has also given us impetus to move into the right direction for future. Let's have a perspective from Mr. Prakash Manitripati. Mr. Prakash, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Shrutoda and Manoranjan and Ajay already taken all the steps in the pandemic happened. But I personally believe it's not a transformation, it's a working as well as the cultural transformation happening. Like I totally agree with Mr. Ajay. When in steel industry, in this type of industry, we face lockdown and something, people are like, kaise hoga? So the first thing I believe, and that's I get from my software, because I'm from the software industry. So I get software industry focus on the employee training, employee engagement. So I directly implement the LMS in my organizations, online, offline, because what happened? 50 years people are working, they only use email. Even they can't write the email in a proper format, just going on an email. So now launching of training and learning, and now the still in today, still our organization working on a 50% workforce in actual level. And the people, they don't know about the team, they don't know about the all the techno, only they know the email, only they know the SAP 2 3 T codes. Now they know about the technologies. In this pandemic, what happened? People are getting lot of spam mails from different channels. You have all the security measures, but people should understand, we cannot click here, we cannot go there, this is not for our. So now people are literate more in the technology side. So cultural changes happening in the organization is very drastic, and it's I think in the long run it's give the benefit to the organizations. Now people know about the technology, they cannot, because most of the time what happened in the industry, in a company, if nothing happening, this is it's a problem with IT. Software is not running, infrastructure is a problem, security is a problem, blah blah blah, so many things happen. But now people realize ki IT wing is one of your core business line to drive your business. You cannot bypass it. So that's the big changes happening, and the management or top management, they think, the investment is IT, ROI is very good, not directly but indirectly. We are not the direct revenue earning department to give the company, but it's a streamline in the organization from last 2 years. So that's the beauty, and learning is one of the part that always give the benefit to your employees. So this type of organization adopting the learning and management, LMS is going to helpful now. So that's from my side. Thanks.
Right, 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 right. Thanks, Mr. Prakash. Mr. Chandan, your thoughts on that? The future of building robust, resilient IT infrastructure.
Yeah, Sovik. So, not possibly surprisingly, the I would like to echo the same sentiments the other fellow members have said. Like about 2 years back, the kind of, what do I say, the digital awareness or the digital maturity for end users per se in the organization, and their digital maturity post 2 years, right at this moment, there is a big difference. Like all other members have already said, I'd like to share some interesting tidbits what had happened during these days, because previously, you won't believe, about 2 years back, we didn't have any web-based kind of PC setup. We had sophisticated PC setup set up in all across our offices. Now, till that time, PC was supposed to be simply point-to-point connection among the branch offices. The CMDs and top official used to sit in the conference room. The operator simply used to connect the IPs and they simply talked. And of course, we're in the process of acquiring all these WebEx and stuff like that, even though they were not that popular at that time, not mainstream as far as our kind of industries are concerned. And people also travel a lot from this part of the Northeast to other capital cities and other prime cities. But post pandemic, people were forced to use WebEx or Teams or Zoom. There was no options left, and the VPN was not widely adopted in organization. Even though we had all sophisticated firewalls and VPN setup already ready in the premise, but people never asked us that they could even do a remote login from their home to their office desktop. And eventually, because we never gone to sort of full office lockdown kind of scenario here, because oil has to keep producing all the time, the company has to keep producing all the time. So be it the any scenario, we used to come into the office mostly. The field goes, they used to go to the field. Now, some important things that happened. One guy one day asked me whether I could log in my office PC from home. I said yes, theoretically you can. Then we prepared all the VPN login manuals and all. They were, of course, there from the earlier time, but we refined it and shared it to him. And eventually, he could log into his office desktop on a very rainy day. He was so elated. He called me maybe at 11 at night that you won't believe how happy I am. I could access my office desktop from my home, and I can do anything like say like all Excel sheet, all doc file, everything is at my hand. So it doesn't matter whether I reach office or not. So in fact, this is sort of a what do I say, sort of a digital renaissance for us, because in the kind of maturity for the end users have gone to such a level, we are really happy, which we have been trying for years to bring in, which somehow was not materializing. And another incident, what happened? We have a radio network set up across around my township. So we have around 120 radio locations. They are covered by radio networks, our own radio networks. So our one of the top directors was supposed to come for some event for some with some consultant for some inauguration activity inside a jungle in a well site. So it was pre-planned, and he as pandemic came out, he couldn't come. So he was asking, like management were asking what could be done. So we said that yeah, even though bandwidth is low, we can try doing some WebEx session so that at least you can see the consultants out in the well site, and at least you can give your views, and you can at least patronize you can at least talk to the ground workers who are working there. At least they will be inspired to see you online. He said, okay, let's give it a try. And we did it because the technology was already there. Nobody thought, even though we tried to push it, nobody tried to give a damn to it. But that time they were helpless. The director had to, he could talk from Noida office, and inside a jungle in Upper Assam in the Northeast, the people were watching him live, and they were clapping. The consultants were directly interacting with our directors. And the management, the people around us, they were so happy. They didn't know that such technology are already very using, but there was somehow we have not been able to put in place. So yes, so digital maturity has come to a big level, higher level, and we're from IT fraternity like you all inside my company also, we are very happy. But coming to the core question, what Sabik has asked, like for going future, what could be done? I feel cloud will take a big role, because companies like us, even though we don't feel the pinch of capital as such, capital budget and all, we don't feel the pinch. But I think managing a big infra inside and uh, keeping it up to date with all the patches and with all the technological changes is a bigger challenge for us. And what we have seen, we are gradually moving to cloud and all. Uh, we're having so many hybrid applications by now. I think instead of reinventing the wheel, apart from the big infra like your SAP or stuff like that, I think the peripheral infra or the services maybe on SaaS or PaaS model possibly would be moving to cloud, because it relieves us from many of the headaches that typically we face. That's my take, Suvik.
Right, right. I think cloud is the future, no doubt about it. Himanshu, let's end the session with your point of view on. Do you agree that we have to build a robust, resilient IT infrastructure, or you have different opinion on that?
No, the opinion is perfectly aligned with the fellow, colleagues. So I'll rather share a small joke which had been circulated, and I'm pretty sure that all of us have been reading that. What has been the catalyst to your organization's digital transformation? Option one, MD. Option two, CEO. Option three, CTO. Or option four, COVID-19. So it's COVID-19, right? So thanks to that. Of course, all of us are here today on this digital platform thanks to COVID-19. So of course, we have to be positive. We have to be looking positive side of it. Uh, uh, I think on your point, Shavik, on the resilience part, since we all belong to the core manufacturing sector, I'd like to pick up two pointers. One thing which Chandanji mentioned about the legacy, and that's the reality. When the investments are made, they are made for at least 15 to 20 years, and that's something which I learned personally when I moved to Dalmia. And I come from Samsung, and prior to that I was part of the PwC, Ernst and Young, and more of on the other side of the table. When you come to the table, you understand, okay, the investments are made for this long a period, which is essentially not the case when we talk about the IT part of it. And that's where I would like to correlate the point which Manoranjan ji mentioned about adoption. And people, rather, I had not joined the legacy with the people part of it, but the point which I'm trying to make is whatever innovation or adoption of technology that we need to do or think, it also has to take into consideration the legacy part of it, whether there is any big digital divide. You may be talking about best of the class or state of the art technology adoptions, maybe new age IoT sensors, or any of the conditional monitoring system and so on and so forth, whether they are capable enough or whether they are compatible enough with the legacy that we have in place, which are running pretty fine. They are doing the job which it is supposed to be doing. And yes, thanks to the pandemic, because we have to do the convergence, and we are talking about 4.0, 5.0, so on and so forth, which we all agree upon that yes, this is something which is inevitable. It is bound to happen. How are we going to ensure whether that digital divide, whatever that is, it may be big or small, it is appropriately and adequately addressed during the time we are building the roadmap? Like Manoj ji mentioned about, we do not have anything, but we are roadmap. Of course, we are talking about it. Like Ajay mentioned, okay, so maybe the adoption rate is a little low, but then yes, we are talking about it. Everybody is talking about it. So that digital divide or that compatibility is something that we need to take into consideration. And my last thought on this, utilizing of drone technology, which Chandan ji mentioned about. Okay, so here is the level that we have reached, and he mentioned about the support which the government is also pushing. I think with that kind of push, with that kind of backing, sky's the limit, and definitely the next level of innovations, next level of work is going to happen within our country. But at the same time, I'll come back to my own subject. The risks and the resilience have to be taken into consideration. So the parting thought could be, or the ending thought could be, know who you are. So a good point is, or a good starting point could be, have an understanding of the entire landscape. What are we doing? How are we doing? And continuously reviewing, like Prakash mentioned about continuously reviewing, and Shubhrata ji mentioned about continuously revalidate whatever that you're doing. I think that's the practice that we need to inculcate in the organization. And Ajay also mentioned about the awareness part of it. Of course, goes without saying. Adoption cannot be possible unless and until we impart the right set of knowledge and skill set to the people who are going to use it. So otherwise, any investment will not be giving the right kind of returns, which all of us combined would are always asked. What is the ROI? What is the ROI? So I think that's my 2 cents on it, Shawik.
I think Himanshu has made my life easy, because Himanshu almost did a synopsis of what others have said for last 1 hour. I think that in that way he has made my life easy. But on a serious note, thank you so much, Himanshu Sharma, for sharing those thoughts with us. If I may take a crux of last 1 hour's discussion, is that it is the time to invest in IT. Don't think about the ROI. ROI is long term, and because invest in IT so that you can improve your business, and the IT is no more a luxury; it's a necessity for any company. You have to invest in time, money in IT deployment, making the robust IT infrastructure. Yes, digital divide will be there, but we have to work hard or work together to eradicate that digital divide. We talked about how drones being used for transformation in the manufacturing segments, IT to be seen as tool for production, sales and customer retention. Analytics is going to play a huge role. If you talk about smart devices, we have to also think about the securing those smart devices. So I think all these things have been discussed at length for last 1 hour, and I think audience who are part of this panel discussion, we have witnessed this discussion, has gained some knowledge and insight on the tech catalyst for India's core infrastructure builders. And I will again take this opportunity to thank Shubhata Banerjee, Manoranjan Kumar, Ajay Pawar, Prakash Mani Tripathi, Himanshu Sharma, and Chandan Kumar Burman for joining us today for this panel discussion. But before we end this panel discussion, we have a small token of appreciation. We'll be providing Leadership Excellence Award to all our esteemed speakers who are part of this panel. Let's start with Shubhata Banerjee, VP IT Vedanta. It's our honor to present you with this Leadership Manufacturing Award certificate. Uh, though we are in virtual mode, I'm sure our team will be sending you the trophy soon. But for the time being, it's our honor to recognize your efforts as a digital transformation leader in our organization. Congratulations, Shubhrata Banerjee, VP IT Vedanta Limited.
Thank
The
you.
next award goes to Mr. Manoranjan Kumar, Chief Information Officer, Sri Cements Limited. Again, it's our honor to recognize your efforts, Sri Manoranjan, for your pioneering role in technology leadership in the cement sector. Our next award goes to Mr. Himanshu Sharma, Head of Information Security, Bharat Dalmia Group. Again, it's our honor to recognize your efforts for being the pioneer in technology leadership in the cement sector. Congratulations, Himanshu Sharma. The next award goes to Mr. Prakash Mani Tripathi, General Manager IT, Sham Steel Industries Limited. Again, it's our honor to recognize your efforts, Prakash Mani Tripathi, and you have been playing a pioneering role in technology leadership in the steel sector. Our next award goes to Mr. Ajay Pawar, Senior General Manager IT, Heidelberg Cement India Limited. And again, he's doing a fantastic job and a very important role played by him for the technology domain for the cement sector. We congratulate Mr. Ajay. And also, we present the award to Mr. Chandan Kumar Burman, Deputy General Manager IT, Oil India Limited, for pioneering role in technology leadership in the oil and gas sector. Congratulations, Chandan Kumar Barman, Deputy General Manager, IT, Oil India Limited. With this, we come to the end of this panel discussion on Take Catalyst for India's core infrastructure builders. I once again thank all of you for joining us today. This also brings us to the end of the first day of APEC Manufacturing Conclave. And tomorrow, we'll have various panel discussions. Do join us for tomorrow inaugural session at 9:45 a.m. And tomorrow, we have panel discussions on bringing down the digital barriers and designing the future workplace, innovation-led manufacturing industry, importance of cybersecurity, leveraging blockchain, and growing role of CISOs in uh, manufacturing sector, and also another panel discussion on digital disruptions in transportation and logistics, digitally transforming energy and utility sector, technology-driven future of automobile and auto system, and digitization of pharma industry in new normal. I would also take this opportunity to thank our partners, Guidance Tamil Nadu, Gold Partner, Siemens and Preston, Security Partner, Fortinet, Industry Automation Partner, Avaya, Active Intelligence Partner, Click, Associate Partners, Morphisec, and Choice Solutions Limited. Thank you so much. Do join us for tomorrow's inaugural session at 9:45 a.m. at APEC Virtual Manufacturing Conclave. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.